Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today. And today we're continuing the NFL divisional grades for each of these teams coming into the NFL season here, just about a week away now. Really exciting, really good stuff here, and I'm really excited for the NFL to be back. I'm ready for the content to watch as well as all the football to play on Madden. So a lot of the stuff coming back around. I'm really excited for this NFL season, and I think it's gonna be a really good one. We're going to get right into it, though. AFC East position grades will be this today. And without further ado, before we get started, leave a like, subscribe, and comment any suggestions for future videos below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. First of all, before we get actually right into it, I just want to go ahead and say, sorry if I seem a little bit out of it. I'm recovering from surgery right now, and I'm getting like basically some stuff done to my mouth with teeth and all that. So I'm all out of pain meds, so I'm trying to do a couple different takes to do this, but I'm kind of a little out of it, so excuse me for anything I might, kind of be a little loopy, a little bit not the most clear as I usually am. I'm recording a lot of these videos later than I want to, just because it takes a lot of rest, and the last couple days have been pretty rough with pain, so I'm just kind of rolling with the flow. I feel good. I feel overall fine. It's just I feel a little loopy, not the best I ever could be, but still I can grade these teams just fine because the AFC East, how we're gonna grade them? They're the best in the league at that position group. So again, to kind of say for the third time, we go over quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, O-lines, D-lines, linebackers, secondaries, special teams, and the coach. So all 10 position groups, 10 grades to give out for each team, and this is how I do it. If I think they're one of the best position groups in the league, they get an A. If I think they're pretty dang good, they get a B+. If I think they're all right, I think they're pretty fine, pretty good, I'll give them a B-. C, they're basically average. They're what I expect from a team at the very least. D+, there's potential, possibly, but not really. D-, I'm like not totally sold off on them, but like it's pretty dang close. And an F, pretty piss poor. You're one of the worst in the league at that position group. So starting off, of course, we have the AFC East here today. The Jets, the Bills, the Patriots, and Dolphins. And man, there's a bunch of different opinions here, and I cannot wait to get into them, because first, we have the Buffalo Bills. First of all, let's go ahead and just say, whether you like him or not, Josh Allen, as long as he's, the age he is and age frame he is, and doing as well as he is, even without a lot of, no Super Bowl appearances and not the crazy amount of playoff success, I think they've had enough to warrant this. He's going to be an A. He's one of the best. He's most reliable. Any team would be lucky to have him. A. James Cook, I really debated on this one. I really, in my heart, want to put him in a C, but I think he's just slightly above average, and I think Ray Davis being behind him is a potential to be a really good running backup. So B- feels fair for the Buffalo Bills at the running back position. The wide receiver group's also very weird because Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel all have potential to be. They all feel like they're C-level guys, but since there's no clear wide receiver one, it could be any three of those guys this next season. It really could. I can't put them in a C because C feels like that's the typical position group. I think it's a reliable across the board. But with this, I just don't see any of that. I debated on D+, debated it on F, just because, but I can't put them in F because there's notable names. I can't put them in C because there's not like a clear number one guy, at least there. All of them are kind of swapping around, but it almost feels like they should put them in. Hold up, I kind of talked myself into D+ because I think they're around the C to F tier. Obviously, I think they're in that tier range, but I think they're closer to C because I think all these guys could be stepped up. I think all these guys are reliable in their own way. They could all get about 700 yards, or they can get more. They could also get less. But I lean D+ because I think potential from Keon Coleman is good. I think Curtis Samuels were very reliable. I think Khalil Shakir is a good wide receiver 3. So maybe that kind of leads up to almost a C. I'm going to give a D+. I feel good about that grade, so I raised your grade. I think it was a good rounding error that I decided to do there. Then moving on to the tight end, Dalton Kincaid, I feel fine about. I think he's right above average, and honestly, Dawson Knox also helps quite a bit. So if you're considering both of them, actually, I would consider B+. But even though I don't think I like Knox enough to bring him to a B+ depth chart wise, I think Kincaid is very reliable, very good. But I don't think he's overly extended like a Sam Laporta, a Trey McBride, that type of tight end just yet. Mark Andrews, George Kittle, stuff like that. I don't think he's quite to that level, but I mean he's scratching the surface. He's scratching, he's reliable enough. The O-line, with this coaching group too, they're going to make any O-line be just fine, but Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown are going to be some of the best tackle groups in the league, I think, so I think that alone puts them at B+. The other guys are not as great, but they got Will Clapp, so they get a B+. Then we have the D-line. This one is also really hard to grade. Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver are really all fucking awesome. But the other two, Dequan Jones and AJ Epensa, then you have Von Miller, of course, on the depth chart still. There's really no clear, role for anybody outside of Greg Rousseau and Ed Oliver. Von Miller gets hurt a lot. The other two aren't really reliable and put a bunch of numbers up. So I decided with a B- because those other two guys are reliable enough to put them in the B- category. But I almost decided B+. They'd be close to B+ if Von Miller was a little bit more consistent and not as injured, or, I don't know. The B- just felt like there's too much volatility for me to put them in B+. That's kind of where I came down to. Linebackers, they're fine. It seems like their numbers kind of warrant a D+ category. I'm not gonna talk about this one too much. I don't know the guys too much, but you show up to class, so you get a volunteer. You get basically a baseline D+. Secondary, they always perform well, and Mar Hamlin's here, so you gotta give them a little bit of credit. But they always perform well. They're not anything notable. I debated on a C, but again, they always put up the numbers that they need to for tackles and for assists and for the interceptions. They always put up reliable numbers, so I can't really doubt their their skill. I made the name value isn't there. Taylor Rapp is the only big one there for me, and Russell Douglas is fine, I guess, too. But B- feels like a fair grade for him. Special teams, Tyler Bass is going to help a lot with that, but also their special teams in general is also pretty damn good. They actually make a lot of good moves. B+. Coach Sean McDermott. Okay, so you're about to see two coaches in this list that are going to be B- for two very different reasons. One, because they're very not new, but they're very inexperienced, and so they're still building up their credibility. So they're kind of in that weird volatility stage. But Sean McDermott's pretty proven. He's been in the league for a minute now, and was his 6th or 7th season as head coach. But he's a B- and not B+, because at this point you kind of at some point hit a plateau. Or you kind of start out, you're doing well, and you have the upward momentum, then you just kind of plateau, and you're not doing as well anymore. You're not really making forward progression. That's where Sean McDermott is. And so as a result, your stock kind of goes down a little bit. You're reliable enough to get you to the postseason, but you're not really closing anything out. So you kind of almost, at some point, have to plateau a little bit. So B- for Sean McDermott. It seems unfair, but I don't know. I like him enough to put him obviously in the B-. I don't think you can put him in a C. But I think he's just missing B+. I don't think you can really do A unless you are a long-term, really good, or really short-term successful guy. It's kind of quite frankly, So, coach, B-. The Dolphins, quarterback Tua, I don't care what you say. Tua is the prototypical, he's there, he's going to do what the team's going to do, and he's boosted up by that. He's not going to do anything special outside of that. He's a C quarterback. I don't know what you want me to tell you. He's reliable enough. He gets the job done. I don't think he's going to be winning any Super Bowls, quite frankly. Running back, I decided on the B+ category for these guys because they are just missing the consistent the consistency. So Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane A-Chain, whatever, fuck it. Both of them are very, very good. For one, with Raheem Mostert doing as well as he did last season and Devon Achane being as good in potential as he is, I just haven't seen consistency from them yet as a running back duo, and that is why they're not an A. Because A-Chain was obviously injured last year. Raheem Mostert's getting older. That's the only hesitation I have. They are a B+, but you could argue an A. I'll fully concede an A, but I'm giving them a B+ just because I'm worried about their current state. Because I don't know if I'm sold on A-Chain completely yet, and I don't know if I'm sold on Mostert having another season in him. So that's me being quite frank, but B+ is still a very good tier. A, you could argue, though. Then we have the wide receivers. Obviously, with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, it's probably enough to put them in the A tier alone. But now, Braxton Berrios, I've learned, is a fine wide receiver 3. But Odell Beckham's there now, so he should help out a little bit. I know he's a little injured, but I think he should be good for most of the season, so we're all good there. So wide receivers, you're A tier. Come on. Tight end, Jonnu Smith. He's reliable, but I just don't think as a tight end compared to other tight ends, he's one of the best, so he gets a D-. But he's better than some. I'll give him that. The O-line. Again, it kind of goes back to the tackles. I like Jackson and I like Armstead just fine. Everybody else is pretty piss poor. This team isn't the best when it comes to the O-line on the run game. It's kind of good in the tackles, but even the tackles are more of a B- tier. So C feels good for the O-line. D-line, man, they're basically just wash-ups. Benito Jones, Calais Campbell, Zach Sealer. It's just I'm going to put them just above the F tier because I don't think they're the worst, but they certainly aren't the best. But where it makes up a lot are the linebackers. But there's a lot of injuries going around. There's a lot of worries I have about this linebacker group. This is arguably a B+, B, maybe high B- linebacker group. Jalen Phillips is questionable. He's had some injury runs. Bradley Chubb will be good there for like 3/4 of the season. Jordan Brooks is pretty fine. Dayton Long Jr. is fine. So all in all, it's like I have a lot of worries. So it could go either really good or really bad. They get a C. Quite frankly, they're just in the C category. The secondary, it's just one of the best in the league. Jordan Poyer, Javon Holland, and Jalen Ramsey, easily, and Kendall Fuller even, all amazing in their own rights, even if they're not all like top 16 type secondary players. Jalen Ramsey at the very least is. Jordan Poyer is arguably one of the best safeties, even though he doesn't have the consistency as he used to. He's still an A. Come on. Special teams, again, the speed and the skill that special teams has, and even Jason Sanders and Jake Bailey, I think is very, very good punter. I love the special teams here. They get an A. The coach. This is the coach I was referring to that gets the B-. Mike McDaniel. Again, I think it's still too early to say he's really good or really bad. I think he's had enough success that he warrants to be in the above category of decently good, but he hasn't had long-term playoff success. He hasn't had any prove-it moments. So he's more in the B- category, but he's still fairly new in his career. So I think we can give him the kind of benefit of doubt of the B- category. So again, different grade compared to Sean McDermott. Same grade as Sean McDermott, but in a different reasoning. So I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to keep consistent with different reasonings, but it's really hard sometimes. Either way, moving on to New England Patriots. Drake May, Jacoby Brissett. What do they fucking have? Milton or something? Yeah, Joe Milton, Bailey Zappi. This just screams like the most C-level quarterback room in the world, because there's no clear number one guy. Drake May should be the number one guy, but even then, he's a rookie quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, at best, is probably a D+. You got Joe Milton, who's showing potential, but again, he's a rookie. Bailey Zappi's an F quarterback. Like, it's just so weird. I'm giving him a C because, again, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, and Joe Milton all kind of lean that way. Those three seems like the potentials. I don't think they named an official starter just yet. I think it should be Drake May, so it should be a C. Jacoby Brissett, if it was Jacoby Brissett, I'd probably put him at D+, to be honest with you. But I think C, just because even if they do start Jacoby Brissett, Drake May's the clear guy. It's going to be long-term there, so C is a fair grade to give. Running back room, Rajay Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, both scream C, but because they both scream C to me, I move them to a B- because they're both consistently good at C, so they kind of raise each other up with consistency. So B- is for the consistency this team can bring a little bit, because they're both fairly good. I think they're just fine, reliable running backs, and both together could make a decent room. Kind of similar to Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren in a way. Then we got the wide receivers, and man, I debated on F, but I like DeMario Douglas enough, and I think Kendrick Bourne, he's healthy, is fine, and Polk is fine, so they all get a D-. It's now, and this makes me feel better about this grade because the Bills were better than this room, but barely a D+, and this is a D-. This is a quintessential D-, I think. Almost maybe an F, but again, there's enough notable names there for me to feel okay about it. Tight end, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, both honestly, both a D- themselves, but again, I just don't think it's enough to raise them up to a D+. O-line, pretty all right in terms of Mike Onwenu and Cole Strange, but Cole Strange is suffering from injuries, and I just don't have a whole lot of confidence in this O-line being consistent this next year. You get a D-, so 3 D- in a row, I know. But I just don't know. I can't give them an F because I think they have enough name value, enough stat lines to kind of keep them in this range. But man, I'm not excited for it. So D- is where I'm going. D-line, O-line, D-line now. It's just fine. Barmore, Goshaw, and White, Keon White, they're all fine. I really don't have much to say about them. They put up enough numbers to feel fine, but that's about it. Linebackers. This actually is a low key. When I was actually looking at the names, I'm like, this feels like an F linebacker room. But then I started looking up these guys, and I cannot say any of these names except for Jennings and Bentley, of the first and last names. But this linebacker room is low key kind of actually pretty talented, and they put up stat lines. And while I don't think the name value helps at all, I think that the history this team has, and of course how good the defensive scheme around linebackers usually is for this team, I gotta give them at least a B-. Honestly, it's arguable they can be in B+, because this is a low-key really good linebacker room, and honestly, I could see a lot of stat lines made for this team from the linebackers. So I think this could be argued B+, but this actually might be a highlight of this team. The secondary, pretty fine. Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, I think, are clear B-, and Christian Gonzalez, for me, is still a clear C. Jonathan Jones is reliable enough, so B- feels like a pretty good category for secondary. They seem consistent enough, and this will also be a pretty good highlight for this team. The special teams, fine. There's nothing notable I saw, so give him a C. Ryland seems reliable enough, and everybody else is just fine. Then you got Jared Mayo, and I was reading up on some articles just about how some rumors, some things behind the scenes, possibly how all this goes. Clearly, I'm going to say this. If this wasn't New England, Jared Mayo was anywhere else, I'd give him a C. Just because, again, it seems like himself, he's almost not proven in any category in terms of head coach positioning. But when it comes to the New England ownership, I have to kind of put some slack on them because I do not like their ownership right now. I just think there's a lot of things riding on this new chain. They're moving on from Belichick into a whole new regime. This does not feel like it's going to bode well for Jared Mayo, I'll be honest with you. It feels like there's going to be a fall guy. It's going to be Jared Mayo, and they're going to move on, and they're maybe pick up the pieces somewhere else. Mayo seems fine. I want to root for him. I don't have confidence that that everybody's behind them, special teams wise, secondary coach wise, or even especially ownership wise. I don't think there's a lot of people behind Jared Mayo because of a regime that is still kind of there in the Patriots. So I'm giving him a D+. But again, anywhere else, Jared Mayo will be a C. And finally, the Jets. The quarterback, let's go ahead and just say Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he'd be an A last year. He'd be a B+ this year purely because he just didn't play last year. He's one of the best. Move on. And just, again, attendance-wise is the only reason why he's not up there. Running back room, Breece Hall. Again, if he's had one, he needs one breakout season for me to say I'm putting him in an A, but he's clearly a B+ running back, clearly there. He's just one step away from that A. One step away. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Xavier Gibson. Feels like a very fine, very good wide receiver room. Honestly, could be B+ if I felt more confident about Garrett Wilson and if Mike Williams was not consistently getting hurt as of recently. So that's where I kind of fall with that. B- feels like a very fair grade for this wide receiver room. Tight end, Tyler Conklin and Jeremy Ruckert. Yeah, fuck that. F. They're not very good. O-line. Everything else from here on out, this fucking team's going to excel at pretty much. Except for one, and we'll note that. O-line. Just, again, they get fucking results. I mean, again, the name value besides Tyron Smith and, I like Morgan Moses. Okay, looking at all these guys, actual name values there. But, this O-line is just so fucking good. I don't know if it's a coaching scheme, if it's actually just the players all being just like a B-, B+ players, and I raised it up to a B+, arguably an A. I gotta give them an O-line, the B+ at the very least, but holy shit, this O-line's really good. And be prepared for a lot of A's and B+ because D-line, holy shit, again, they put up a lot of numbers. Quentin Williams is not just the only guy there. Hassan Reddick's there now, which, again, he's suffering from injury, and Quentin Williams is too, but I believe they're all, again, minor injuries. Javon Kinlaw, Jermaine Johnson. This fucking D-line's amazing. They stay healthy, they're going to be great, and I think they pretty much have, again, minor injuries, so they're good. Then linebacker room, again, Jamian Sherwood, CJ Mosley, Quincy Williams. These guys put up numbers, and they're able to be one of the best linebacker rooms. Again, arguably an A. I just kind of held them back because I'm a little worried about, I don't feel confident about Jamie and Sherwood as much as with CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams. But holy shit, this linebacker room still could be great. And guess what? They have one of the best, if not the best, secondary because Sauce Gardner's a fucking beast. DJ Reed's a decent guy. Tony Adams, Chuck Clark seems reliable enough. They have basically a clear one guy, clear two guy, and a 3 and 4 guy type guy in the secondary. Amazing. That's what you want from a secondary. They can put up numbers and they can be splashy. They can do a lot of great things. They're an A. Oh my gosh. Fucking concept. Special teams. Guess what? Zerlin's fucking amazing. Tyler Morstead puts up better punting numbers than I thought he would, especially in the preseason. And fucking special teams seems to get results. Xavier Gibson's pretty damn good when it comes to it, I guess. So fucking great. The coach, though, is where it falls in line. Was it Greg Zerlin's how you say it? Not Greg Zerlin. Fucking Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh. I guess I just looked at the fucking place kicker again. Robert Saleh. Let's talk about him for a second. I'm not a big fan of him. I've decided after seeing the results that he's gotten, his track record, I'm not the biggest fan of him. I'm obviously not going to give him an F because I don't think he's fireable. I think he's close damn to it. And I think if Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt last year and they got the result they did, he'd be fired. I just don't like him. I think he has had a lot of slack given to him for poor results, and I don't think he's made a whole lot with anything. Now, where I think he's saved is his defense is usually fucking good, but his offense always feels like they have so much potential there, and it falls flat. Was last year his fault? No. But still, there was something there that he tried making work and just did not work at all. I mean, you see Stefanski completely shape up his offense from losing his starting quarterback, who wasn't very great anyway, and his starting running back, and he still made a great season from it through his defense and through a decently consistent offense. Robert Saleh didn't do that. Robert Saleh completely shit the bed there. Could you argue he's a D+ coach? Completely. I'm putting him as a D- because this guy, I just don't think has a future as a coach for this team. And the only saving grace he might have is that Aaron Rodgers goes out and actually just basically is the coach of this team, like Tom Brady was near the end of his career. Actually, probably even the mid-career. That's where Robert Saleh could be saved. That it's basically just through Aaron Rodgers this team succeeds. Now, don't get me wrong, the defense will still do well, but I don't think that's enough for him to stay in a C or D+ category for a coach. I think it's about do or die time for Robert Saleh. Hope you guys enjoyed. A little bit longer video, I believe. So we'll stick to it, and I'll see y'all in the next one. StraightA Dawson, out of here.